Food wars and food as a weapon are two concepts that you hear a lot about in terms of looking at these situations where food, of course, given that it's such a valuable asset in all societies, it can actually be used. The depriving of certain communities of this food can be a key aspect of many situations where certain warring parties will literally try to starve the other. One definition is including the use of hunger as a weapon, or hunger that follows from destructive conflict. So it can work both ways. So food wars, that is people, just communities or countries fighting over food, which is possible, but then also using food as part of the arsenal in waging the war. So for example, in 1980 and 1990 famines in Africa and Asia, there were post-conflict economies oftentimes meant a lack of resources were simply not available. The chronic food underproduction, food insecurity in a number of countries such as Ethiopia, Rwanda, Sri Lanka, Mexico. These were all famines in those situations. Today, we have Zimbabwe, Sudan, or Darfur, as I've mentioned earlier, West Africa, Afghanistan, Iraq. Again, not the whole countries and not always, but because of the conflicts going on in those countries, you will have pockets, and some of them quite large, where the most vulnerable are affected and food is used as a weapon, and that food is withheld from some of these communities as a way of subjecting them. Key issues for us in terms of thinking how to deliver food aid in conflict areas, and that in the middle of a conflict, the humanitarian needs are very real. We're always looking, we on the international community side, is how we can best deliver food, deliver assistance generally, to avoid competition that will further fuel the flames or further cause problems for the communities, for example, that we're trying to work with. One area that we have found over the years that works extremely well is making sure that all food distribution, all food aid provided in these situations goes through women, goes to the hands of women. And the reason for that, again, is that usually the women are not parties to the conflict. They are the most concerned always that their children eat first, and they will see to it that the food that is provided, these scarce resources, gets to those children. If it goes through the men or any of the power structures that are often present in these conflict situations, there's a major danger that it will be diverted, it will go to the military, and our key objective will not be met and will be subverted through all that, and that is to feed the most vulnerable children and women. And in particular, again, we're looking always at managing our strategies in food aid distribution, not to prolong the conflict, and to get the food to those who are affected but not part of the combatant population. The UN and other agencies then provide aid to civilian population, obviously to prevent famine deaths, which in extreme cases can definitely happen. It's difficult, and this is why the UN, well, for WFP in particular, within the UN system, we unfortunately have the highest number of staff fatalities, that is, staff killed in the line of duty. And this is one of the reasons why. It's because oftentimes we are caught up in these situations where our staff will become targets because they have a valuable commodity in these conflicts, in these situations. And the aid will be hijacked. It will be used as a means of war again. Our food will end up being used as part of the food as a weapon problem, to reward supporters, to starve out the other side, and to keep the conflict alive. Oftentimes you need to remember, if all of us need to keep in mind, that it can be in certain parties' interests in these conflicts to maintain them, to prolong them. There are always those who do benefit from these conflicts, is the point. Aid workers are often the victims, and this is not just on the UN side. For WFP, many of our NGO colleagues are caught up in the same way. Years ago, when I started in this business, working on humanitarian programs of this type, we had a Red Cross flag, or we had the UN flag, or a white flag. we were the good guys. We were the ones who were helping, and there would be a ceasefire. We would not be involved. By all parties, they would see us as being on the side of those who were non-combatants and not party to conflicts. Now it's sort of the opposite, where oftentimes we will actually become targets ourselves, as I said. It can be very hard and expensive then to recruit staff working in this line of work, given the major increased levels of danger over the past few years. Accountability is a key issue always for us, whether we're involved in development program, delivering food to a school, in development program during peacetime, still there. We want to know that the food is arriving at the right school and that it is being used the way it should be. Accountability is always critical, and in emergency situations even more so, in that we want to make sure it goes to the right people and not to the other side, and that it's not diverted. We, at the same time, when we're assisting during conflicts with immediate needs, we're always looking at how we can wean that population that we're assisting off of that immediate food aid to help with reconstruction, even during a conflict where, for example, building houses or setting up tents in non-conflict areas. We will have various food for work programs, just generally trying to build social capital by working with communities most affected, so that it's not simply free food being provided to them as they're waiting for the conflict to work itself out.